Hello and welcome if you're new to my channel, and if you're a subscriber, a warm welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the best traditional men's work and weekend bags. I say traditional because we're living in a time where gender is fluid and you can't describe a particular product or service to just one gender. What I will do is present to you a range of some of the best brands in the market and then leave it open to anyone for the taking. I'm Anesu Sagonda and I manage a luxury lifestyle management business in London. My content is largely educationally focused and geared towards people who are typically new to money or keen to explore alternate mid-lux or super brands that are a little under the radar but still heavily weighted on quality. I'm going to be focused on 5 brands that pretty much dominate the top end of the market. The first 3 are more your entry level to the top end, and then the top 2 confidently straddle the entire market. I'm also going to be focused on bags made just from leather. What you tend to find more of in the market is your canvas and leather, or just canvas. It's cheaper. Bags made from nylon, plastic, or some other synthetic material. But my focus is just on leather for a number of reasons. Firstly, leather, particularly if you buy very good quality leather, the very highest quality leather is called your full grain leather. The brands I'm going to be talking about in this video, they only use your full grain leather. It's the top part of the animal's hide. It's thicker than the next layer down, and what you're buying into is the quality. It's thick. It's harder for the manufacturer to work with that because it's thicker, so that is reflected in the end price of the product. But you're buying a very good all-round product, so the quality of that skin, it has the natural grain to it, so the elements, the weather elements the animal was exposed to, its age, the diet, everything is reflected in the beauty of that skin. The other thing you're buying into, which people who buy leather buy it because you're going for that very much sought after thing called the patina. The patina is that soft sheen that leather develops as it ages. And if you look after your products, you will find that leather will age beautifully, in fact spectacularly. It gets better in terms of the look and feel with age, but you need to look after that skin, and you also need a good skin to start with. So I'm selling leather because of the quality of it, the beauty of the skin, the longevity you'll get from it. It just produces a phenomenal product. But coupled with the fact that my channel is all about buy better, buy less. So buy better, buy less, because you don't have to keep replacing things. But what you buy looks good, feels good, and performs and lasts a long time. But when I look specifically at whether you're a man or a woman, the 3 key accessories everyone should have, I feel. A very good pair of shoes, a fantastic handbag or bag, and an even better timepiece. If you get those 3 right, you will always look very well put together. You can elevate an outfit. You look and feel $1 million. Those 3 accessories you need to get right. So today I'm feeding in with your bag, whether it's a work bag, a weekend bag, or a handbag. Handbags I'll do in a later video, but just that bag component of the 3, get that right, you look fantastic. I'm going to kick off with my first brand, a British brand called Alfred Dunhill. Alfred Dunhill, together with the other 4 brands, have got 3 key variables right. Firstly, the quality of the leather, the hardware, and also the stitching. Those 3 you need to get right to ensure you produce a product that's going to last a very long time. It's very well put together. Looking specifically at the stitching, you will find that your hand-stitched bags are a lot more expensive because the stitching is done by hand. It's labor intensive, but it'll last longer because with hand stitching, you are able to do more robust, more secure stitching that you aren't able to achieve with the machine. Furthermore, with your hand stitching, you can get the optimum tension, so you can either make the stitch tighter or looser depending on the part of the bag you're sewing. And you can also get a more even weave with your stitching. It's just a lot more robust way of bringing the bag together in comparison to the machine stitching, which is just typically a couple of stitches, stitch styles, and you can't reinforce as well as you can do with the hand stitching. And then looking at hardware, what you'll find with the brands at the very top end is the quality of the hardware. So whether it's the zips or the poppers, whatever the mechanism, whatever the item they use to bring the bag together, you will find it's very good quality in terms of performance. So it's not a zip that's going to break down after a few usages. You find the leather is aging beautifully, but then the zip breaks down, or it's always getting caught, or it starts to tarnish or discolor or lighten, whatever it may be. You will find the hardware is consistent. It looks just as good as the rest of the bag, and that's what you're paying for. The prices are not cheap, but you're paying for a complete all-round product. Looking specifically at Alfred Dunhill, GQ describe Alfred Dunhill products as strong and stable stuff. They are well known for their oversized tailored jackets, very similar in style to Savile Row heavyweights, Gives and Hawkes and Anderson and Shepherd, and of course their sumptuous leather products. I'm going to be focused on 5 bags, 2 weekend bags and 3 work bags. The weekend bags, the first one is the Belgrave HOLDALL, a small overnight weekend bag with the full grain leather. It's made in Italy and it is machine stitched. Retails for £1,600. My second recommendation, it's a hand-stitched bag called the Duke Weekender HOLDALL. Bigger weekend bag, hand-stitched, made in Italy, retails for £2,700. Comes in black with soft handles and two pockets that are zippable on the inside. My work bag recommendations, there are 3. The first 2 are both called CADOGAN. The first is the double document case with the rounded edges, and the second is the 3-pocket document case with the more angular edges. Both have your detachable adjustable shoulder strap, padded laptop compartments. They have the top handles, made in Italy, full grain calf's leather, and they're both priced at £1,300. My third recommendation is arguably the coolest, the funkiest, the hippest briefcase you'll ever see. A tiny rectangular briefcase which is incredibly portable and light. It is black, all handmade in London by one artisan, priced at £3,200. You can also get it in other custom colors for 30% on top of the £3,200. But if you want something that's fun, that's different, that people will notice, but it's also very well made and practical, then I think it's called the Lockbox briefcase is the perfect solution for you. My next recommendation, my next brand, is another British brand called Aspreys. Whenever anyone asks me about a brand that first comes to mind when I think of aristocracy, it invariably is always Aspreys. And Aspreys is located on Bond Street in central London, and whenever you walk into the store, it's like walking into a big stately home. You have the wide open space, the wooden paneling all throughout, the colors, the decor, and then of course the big wooden staircase in the middle of the store that leads up to the next floor where the workshops are. And the thing that particularly stands out about Aspreys, and I like in addition to the products they sell, is they are a royal warranted store. And as you know, I really like this whole concept of royal warrants. It's something I admire greatly about the British culture, and it just validates a product's quality and consistency. Although Aspreys don't have a royal warrant for their leather goods, it's more for the jewelry, and it was granted by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles. Their leather goods are still very good quality, and I am going to be recommending 5 bags, all hand stitched. The weekend bags, the first one is the Bullskin duffel bag, retails for £2,500. It comes in a range of colors. Very roomy, a good size bag for the weekend. Takes a lot of stuff for 2, 3, 4 days. The second recommendation is their horsehair and bullskin leather suit carrier. Retails for an eye-watering £2,600. But bear in mind the quality of the construction, the material used. Horsehair is breathable, and if you can imagine, the type of suit that would go in there is your bespoke. So your typical prices are between £5,000 to £10,000. So a suit of that caliber, that price, a suit carrier for £2,600 to travel, to store it, is entirely warranted. Looking at your work bags, there are three I'd like to recommend. The first one is the GMT Bullskin leather briefcase, and the second is the Hanover Saddle leather briefcase. Both are fairly classic designs you'll see other brands do. The first is priced at $2,800. The second is $2,700. The Hanover Saddle leather briefcase is $2,700. And then the third one I'd like to recommend, another cool, very funky briefcase. This one is ultra thin, so it literally just has enough space for some documents, ultra thin laptop, and a couple of pens, nothing more. It's very thin, very light, easy to carry around, again very portable. So that's Asprey's. And then my next brand is another British brand called Swaine Adeney and Briggs. Swaine Adeney and Briggs produce a whole range of accessories, which in turn has earned them 2 royal warrants, from Her Majesty the Queen of England for her gloves and whips, and from His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, for his umbrellas. I'm going to talk about Swaine Adeney and Briggs in later videos, but in this one, as you know, I'm focused on your leather bags, and I'm going to focus specifically on your briefcases. For people who just want your typical quintessential briefcase, they do a whole range of different briefcases, starting from the Bond attache Q case, legendary for its appearance in the 007 movies, and it comes with its red skiver leather lining on the inside. It's the most simple, priced at $2,500, going right up to about $4,000 for your other ranges. And the ranges differ in terms of just the colors, but also the attachments and compartments on the inside. So you have the Churchill, and then the Churchill overnight, which is a little bigger, so it has space for your documents, for your laptop, and also clothes for an overnight business stay, possibly. There's also the Macmillan, there's the Carrington, and the Peel. So it depends entirely on what you need on the inside, what you then go for. But anything you come across, even if it's on the secondhand market or on their website, in terms of hand-stitched briefcases or bags, it's going to be amazing quality. Snap it up. Their weekend bags, anything you see, as I said, handmade, the English bridal leather collection of bags, really sturdy, robust, well-made bags. I can't recommend them highly enough, but I tend to more towards them when I'm looking for a briefcase for somebody who just wants a simple, straightforward briefcase. They also do really nice doctor's bags, pilot's bags, and also your barrister's bags as well for the documents. But for your leather bags, your typical English British style, roomy, the brighter colors, you can't go wrong with Swaine Adeney and Briggs. My final 2 brands are the top 2 that I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to talk about them in tandem, and they are Hermes and Ortus. Hermes is arguably the most consistent and the most revered of all the luxury brands when it comes to producing luxury items at the very top end. Items that are game changers, that are benchmarks in the industry. You only have to look at their stemware with St. Louis, their cutlery with Puy-Focard, their crockery which they make in-house. But in this video, where I'm focused on your bags, Hermes produce arguably the most coveted handbag in the world, the Birkin. But looking at your work and your weekend bags, they are no different. Their bags might not be explicitly stated as the most coveted, but by virtue of the quality of the material and the craftsmanship, they are the very best in the industry. And this is something that everybody openly and very gracefully acknowledges. But there are very few brands in the market that actually rival Hermes, that give it any form of credible competition. I've mentioned a brand before, Moina, when it comes to handbags. It's a brand that was personally invested into by Bernard Arnault, the chairman of Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, because he wanted to build it up, and he has succeeded into building it up into a brand that confidently rivals Hermes for quality and for craftsmanship. But looking at your work bags and your weekend bags, Ortus, a Japanese brand, is the one brand I can confidently say it ever so slightly pips Hermes to the post, but it's all quite relative to your taste, what you like. But in terms of just the sheer quality of the leather that is used and the craftsmanship, Ortus is on a whole different level. The bags speak for themselves. He has two very well-known bags, very popular. His most popular is the Primula, which is modeled on a music case. And then the second is the Hazel briefcase, which is very much modeled on British vintage designs. But his work, it's a company, Ortus is a company owned by a Japanese designer called Naoyuki Komatsu. And he produces every single item that he sells by hand from start to finish. And his idea is that his bags grow more beautiful with age as customers breathe life into them. And as I've been saying during the course of this video, if you look after your leather bag, it will look much better the older it gets. And Ortus is just a company that has come in and shaken the industry, shaken the space for Hermes, and given them a real run for their money. But going back to Hermes, they have a number of bags I'd like to recommend. Looking specifically at work bags, they have their sac depeche, a fairly classic design, which you'll see in the other houses. Swaine and Adeney and Briggs do something similar, and so do Aspreys. Hermes, you're buying the quality of the skin, so they use different types of skins. There's the Togo, the Epsom leather. It's different finishes to their skin, and then the hardware as well. The quality of the hardware is amazing. I'd also like to recommend the Kelly depeche, and the Kelly depeche is modeled on the Kelly handbag, another one of their very popular handbags. And it's just a very small, literally document container that you either just carry or you can just put it under your arm. Looking at your weekend bags, the bag that is well known by Hermes, it's a 50 centimeter hack. And it's a bag that doesn't have the base. It's not as heavy as your typical Birkin, but it's modeled on the same style as the Birkin. It's a big bag that takes a good amount of clothing for the weekend. I'd also like to recommend in the weekend bag section a handbag that is a very big size, that is also doubles up as a weekend bag, the Bolide 45. So 45 centimeters, doubles up nicely as a different type of weekend bag. It's possibly for the metrosexual, the man who's a little more confident of his style and can pull off what is typically a woman's handbag as a weekend bag, but just a bigger version of it. And then going across to Ortus, as I've mentioned, the Primula, the most popular design, and also the Hazel briefcase. So two different styles. And then Komatsu-san is very much focused on your custom, your bespoke bags. It takes a lot of time. He gets to know you and understand what you like, what your needs are, and then he produces samples and so forth until you are happy with what he has ultimately produced. But looking at prices for both of them, your starting prices are around the £5,000 mark going up, regardless of whether it's a briefcase or a weekend bag for both brands. And what you're buying is literally the quality of the material. It is the very, very best leather. You're buying the craftsmanship, which is absolutely exceptional. And then you're buying the prestige of owning that particular item. And then, of course, the heritage of the brand that goes with that. But two amazing brands that if you can afford it, if you have the budget that can stretch, go for it. When it comes to work bags, your weekend bags, these are bags that you buy once in your life. People don't typically have more than two, possibly three. But if you're going to buy one, I would always say err on the side of buying your very best. You keep it for life, you use it to death, you enjoy it, it pays for itself in terms of just the compliments, the enjoyment you get from it, and then you look after it. I've been talking about looking after your items during the course of this entire video, and what looking after means, how you store it. So you store it in either the box or the container it comes in, the sleeve, or a dust bag. Where you store it, somewhere cool, somewhere dry. And then in terms of just treating it, Whether you need to put wax or cream, take guidance from the brand. What you find with some of the brands, particularly when you look at Ortus, for example, they actually recommend you return it to the workshop or one of their designated spots globally, and they will apply the cream or the wax and buff it up for you when they deem it appropriate. That way they know what to do and when. But look after your bag, it'll look after you. It's one of the best purchases you can make, and I can guarantee you, if you get a good bag that ages well, that looks good, it will pay for itself. You'll get your money's worth. I've given you a range of the top brands at the very top end of the market, from Dunhill starting at 1,600, going right up to Hermes and Otis at 5,000 and above. Depending on your budget, depending on your style, depending on your lifestyle, you're spoiled for choice. Any further questions, as always, let me know in the comments down below. But if this video was of value, do share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.